yarnivores and spiderettes and arachnids. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. And today we've got a lovely knitted stitch that I want to share with you. This is the Embossed Lattice stitch. And I absolutely love how this looks. The texture, it is gorgeous. Now, it looks as if it's done with a cable needle. However, it's much simpler than that. You don't need an extra cable needle. No, it's actually done with twist stitches, a left twist and a right twist stitch. And so I'm going to show you how to do that, of course. Otherwise, it's just knit stitches and purl stitches. So because this is predominantly a stockinette stitch pattern where you have knit stitches on the one side and purl stitches on the other side, it does have a tendency of curling. I'm just giving you that as sort of a caveat. So what you might want to do, something that I did not do for the swatch, but what you might want to do is when you're doing your initial cast on an even number of stitches, some for this side, some for this side, and do a garter stitch border on either side to help prevent and mitigate the curl, okay? And also at the very, very beginning, you would do a couple of rows of just garter stitch, where it's just knit, 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 back and forth to create a bit of a border, a bit of a framework. Because if you want this to be a blanket or a wrap or a what have you, you might want to add a border. But that being said, let's get on to the cast on, shall we? Okay, so first things first, the cast on. For this stitch, you're going to need a multiple of 12 stitches plus an additional 2 stitches. You can make this piece as wide or as narrow as you want to, but as always, I suggest make a swatch first. You'll get used to the stitches, and also you'll be able to figure out how many multiples you'll need for the finished width that you're going for. Now, I have one multiple of 12 plus my additional 2. So right now I only have 14 stitches. Also, by the way, this is Lion Brand Pound of Love in the colorway of Elephant Gray. And my needles, they're size 10, which is a 6mm needle. And also, like I had mentioned before, if you want to add a border to your piece, I would suggest, this is the time to do it. So for argument's sake, you wanted a fairly narrow border, you would add 3 stitches on either side. So you would cast on an additional 6 stitches total. And regardless of whether you're on a right side or a wrong side, you would always knit those first 3 and those last 3. The number is arbitrary, but I'm just giving you an idea. And with that being said, let's get started, shall we? Okay, row 1. So right now we are getting into the first row of the pattern. If you wanted the border, you would do the border first, and then you would start with row 1. As always, I'm not trying to confuse, I'm trying to give you options and to clarify. So row 1, as well as every odd row for this pattern, it's just purl stitches, okay? Nice, simple, straightforward purl stitches all the way across, and that's really all there is to it. This is going to sort of give us a foundation to work off of before we get into the fun and complicated stuff of working twisted stitches. Now, typically, I do more than one multiple when I do stitch swatches. However, there is a lot of repetition involved with just one multiple. So I think this should work out just fine. And as always, the timestamps will be in the description box as always. So you can fast forward, you can rewind, you can pause. Technology is a wonderful thing sometimes, don't you think? So yeah, it's just purl stitches all the way across. And I'm going to just do this one purl row with you on camera. The rest, you can pause the video. Okay, so just 2 more. And there you go. So it's just a purl row, no big deal. And there you go. That's row 1. Okay, row 2. This is where the fun stuff starts. All right, so I'm going to start off with making sure that I'm working with my working yarn and not my tail. Knit the first stitch. There we go. And then we're going to hop right into a left twist. So we're going to be working with these next 2 stitches, going in through the back loops of the stitches. We're going to go in through the second stitch here, and then we're going to go through both, through the back loops. So I'm going to try to make this easy to see. So going in through the back loop of that second stitch, knit that stitch, but keep your stitches on the left needle. So bringing up that loop, like so. And I still have my 2 stitches on the left needle. Now, going to go in through both of these stitches, again, through the back loop, sort of go underneath, through the back, like so. And we're going to knit those 2 together and off. So bring up that loop. So you can see I right now have those 2 stitches are accounted for, and now these 2 come off the left needle. There we go. So that is a left twist. Okay, from here, knit the next 2 stitches. Nice little segue of easiness here. So these 2 stitches here. Then we get to do a right twist with these next 2 stitches. The right twist is a lot easier. We're going to go in as if to knit 2 together, just as we normally would. So going in to knit these 2 together. But we're going to, again, keep these on the left needle. Then going in between the 2 stitches, we're going to just knit that first stitch. And then, after we knit that first stitch, we then pull off both of those loops off of the left needle. Okay, so that is the repeat. Basically, it is a left twist, knit 2, and then a right twist. So for the repeat, we need to do a left twist, knit 2, right twist. So the left twist, again, through the back loop of the second stitch, knit that stitch through the back loop, pull up that loop there, keep the stitches on that left needle, then go in through the back loop of both of those stitches. Now, I strongly suggest watch first, then try. Okay, and then bring that up. And then off with those 2 loops. So we did the left twist. Now we knit 2. And then we need a right twist. So again, that is these 2 stitches going in as if to knit them together as normal. Pull up that loop, then going in between the stitches, just knitting that first one. Drop those 2 stitches off, and then just knit the last stitch. Ta-da! There you go. All right, so that was row 2. Now, it does not look like much right now. I know this, but this is early days still. Rome was not built in a day. So that was row 2. For row 3, just purl your way back across just like we did for row 1, and I will meet back up with you for row 4. Okay, row 4, we just did our purl row. Now, it's subtle, but you can see how we have, this is the right twist here, and this is the left twist. And over here we've got another right twist and a left twist right over there. So, like I said, yes, it's subtle, but it's there. You know, we're getting there. When we have more of an established piece going, you will definitely see the embossed nature going on. So for row 4, I'm going to start with knitting 2. So it's these 2 stitches here we're going to knit, and so it's these 2 stitches. See this stitch right here, that third stitch, it's going to travel to the left, okay? And that's what I was talking about, identifying your stitch. So we're going to be working with those 2 stitches so they can travel to the left. And then these 2 stitches, this one has to travel to the right. It's all about the groupings. And then we're going to have a bit of a straightaway. And then this one, it's going to travel to the left. This one's going to travel to the right. So if you look closely, you know, after a while, you'll be able to figure out, oh, this is what I need to do. So I know that I'm taking my sweet time, you know, with the actual project, but like I said, I want to try to demystify what it is that we're doing so that it makes a bit more sense. So for row 4, knit the first 2. Okay, and then, like I said, we have to move this grouping to the left. So we're going to do a left twist. So going in through the back loop of that second stitch there. Knit that stitch. Pull up that loop. Then going underneath and through the back of those 2 stitches. Knit those 2 together. And scoot those stitches off the left needle. There we go. Then we have these 2 stitches here, that grouping, that needs to go to the right. So go in as if to knit them together. Of course, it wants to be difficult on me now. There we go. So going in as if to knit them together. Leave them on the left. Go in between and knit that first stitch. And off. Okay. Then going to knit 2. And then we have to scooch this pairing to the left. So through the back of that second stitch. And then through the back of these 2 stitches. I know it's probably hard to see what it is that I'm doing, and I do apologize. I'm doing the best I can here. So knit those 2 through the back. Get that loop up. Come on. There we go. And then off. Okay, so we did our left twist. Now we need the right twist. Go in as if to knit them together. Then knit the first stitch, and then both off. And then when we reach the end, knit those last 2 stitches. And there you go. That is row 4. For row 5, I'm just going to purl my way back across, and I will see you shortly. Okay, row 6. This is what I like to think of as the happy row. Yes, I know that sounds silly, but this is probably the easiest row next to the purl rows because our twists are coming to a point, both right there as well as right over here as well. Now, because they've come to a point, well, we only need to do 1 twist here and 1 twist here. The rest, it's just knit stitches, which is kind of like a little mini vacation, okay? So for row 6, I'm going to start off by knitting the first 3 stitches. No big deal there, right? So knit the first 3. Okay, and then these next 2, sorry, my cord got a little stuck there. These next 2 stitches, we're going to twist them to the right, which again, it's my favorite twist compared to the left. So these next 2 stitches going in as if to knit them together. Keep them on the needle, then going in and knit that first stitch. And then off with both. Okay, so after your twist to the right, you then knit 4 and do it again. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then we need another twist to the right. So it's these 2 stitches here. You can see where they're converging. So going in as if to knit them together. Keep them on the left needle. Then knit that first stitch. And off with both of them. Then you knit the last 3 stitches. Nice and easy. Love it. Okay. So that is the end of row 6. Then for row 7, just purl your way back across, and I will meet back up with you for row 8. I'll see you shortly. Okay, row 8. And at this point, you should really start to see the embossing pop. Now, because the last row, it came to a point, well, they have to, diverge again from their designated center point. So it's these 2 are going to be going to the left. These 2 are going to be going to the right. These 2 are going to be going to the left. And these 2 are going to be going to, sorry, these 2. These 2 are going to be going to the right. These 2 are going to be going to the left. Excusez-moi. All right, so then for row 8, I'm going to hop right in by starting off and knitting the first 2 stitches. There we go. And so, yeah, these need to go to the right. So going in as if to knit them together. Leave them on the left needle and then knit that first stitch. And off. Okay. And then we need to twist these 2 to the left. So going in through the back of that second stitch, knit that one. Get that loop up. And then going underneath both of these stitches through the back. There we are, and then off with you. Okay, so we have our twist to the right, our twist to the left, and then knit 2 stitches, and then we get to do it all over again. And we get a small respite in between. So knit these 2. And then, excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Okay, so then knit these 2 to the right, twist them, that is. Okay, so together, but keep them on that left needle. And then knit that first stitch. And then off. Okay, these 2 next ones have to go to the left. So through the back, that first stitch. And then through both of them through the back loop. And there you go. It's a little bit tight sometimes, but be patient. And then off. And at the end of the row, knit the last 2 stitches. There we are. Ta-da! You know, it always looks a little bit muddled at first, but after you do the purl row, you can see it start to open up a little bit. So that is row 8. For row 9, purl your way back across, and I will meet back up with you for row 10. Okay, row 10. Going to continue to have this one go to the right, this one to the left, this one to the right, this one to the left. And so for this row, I'm going to start off by knitting just the first stitch. And then twist these next 2 stitches to the right. So going in as if to knit them 2 together. There we go. And then knit that first stitch. And then off. Okay, then we have a bit of space in between, so knit the next 2. And then we get to do our twist to the left, right here. So going in through the back loop of the second, knit that stitch, and then through both of them through the back. And up, over, and off. Woohoo! Okay, so we got the one to the left. Then we have to hop right in by twisting these 2 to the right. So going in as if to knit them together. Keeping them on there, going in and knitting that first stitch. Up, over, and off. Okay, knit the next 2 stitches. And then I'm going to finish up by doing our twist to the left. So going through the back of that second stitch. Bring that loop up. Going into the back of the next two here. Bring that loop up. There we go. And then off with you. And then finish up by knitting the last stitch. And that, my dears, is row 10. Now, of course, row 11, just purl your way back across, and I will meet back up with you for row 12. Da 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 da! Row 12. Okay, this is another pretty easy row, all things considered. We only have one cross point right here. Granted, if you had more multiples, you would do more of them. Now, these down here are going to the right. So this one needs to go to the left. Now, the reason why, let me grab my swatch here, is so that it looks interwoven. Okay? So you have these going to the left, right here, and then you have these going to the right. It looks a lot better. Now, granted, you could have them all go to the right, but then instead of them looking interlocked, it would look as if you had them all sort of placed on top as opposed to interwoven. I hope that makes sense. So for row 12, we're going to knit the first 6 stitches. We're only going to be worrying about the crossovers here. So this little guy over here, it will pop on the next row. You know, if you were to do a repeat, it will pop out again. So do not worry about that. So right now, just going to knit the first 6. That's 4. And 5 and 6. Now we're going to twist these next 2 to the left. So again, going back in through the back loop of that second stitch, knit that one. And then go through the back of both of those stitches. Bring up that loop. And off. There you go. And so if you had more than one multiple, it would be after your twist stitch, you would knit 4 and then do your next twist. But we only have 1. So we would, knit the next 4, but in this case, we're going to knit a total of 6 because the last 2, well, that's the end of the row. So I'm just knitting these 6, and then the following row would, in essence, be going back to row 1, because like I said, it's just a 12-row repeat. So then, you know what, I'm going to give this little swatch a little more polish. I'm going to purl my way back, and I will see you shortly. All right, so there you go. That is the full repeat of the embossed lattice stitch, and you would just keep going on and on and on as long as you want until your piece is long enough, repeating rows 1 through 12. Now, a couple of tricks that I would strongly suggest, and that would be use a lifeline if you can. I'll put a link to that in the description box because If you make a mistake, I imagine it's very difficult to fix this, okay? Not gonna lie. Much like cables, the twistedness of the stitches and so forth, I would suggest use a lifeline. That way, you can put in the line, keep knitting. If you make a mistake, you're just ripping back to the lifeline. It's named a lifeline for a reason. Another thing that you can do as far as what row to end on, well, what I would suggest, wouldn't necessarily suggest ending after doing a row 12 or a row 1 in this case. What I would suggest is what I did here is to make it look uniform. See, we have a V here, and then at the top we have another V. So what I would suggest is perhaps, see, that was my left twist there. I would say scoot it on up to where you have your V here so that you have that uniformity, okay? Personal suggestion. And then as far as your bind off, I like to use a stretchy bind off because, well, I'm a very tight knitter in case you couldn't tell. I'm going to put a link to my stretchy bind off as well in the description box. And there you go. Also, yeah, if you are doing a border, you would continue doing your knit stitches on this side and this side, regardless of whether it's an even or odd row. And you would then do a couple of rows of garter stitch at the top edge to create your framework. And there you go. The embossed lattice stitch. I really love this. I hope you guys did too. I know it is a bit fiddly. I understand that, but I think the results speak for themselves, don't you? Gorgeousness. So whether it is a blanket or a wrap, this would be totally awesome as a way to incorporate the stitch into a sweater or perhaps even a hat. You would just need to be sure that you have the right multiple, for your project in order for this to work. That being said, listen guys, I hope that you liked the video, and if you did, please give a little thumbs up button down below. You know that I appreciate your appreciation. And stay tuned for more, because whether it's knitting, crocheting, audiobook narration, origami, cooking, sewing, I'm jack of all trades, master of none. Do a lot on here, so, subscribe, stay tuned for more, and you know what to do until next time, right? I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay stitching, and please stay safe. Take care of yourselves and each other. And in the comments section, let me know what are you going to do with this stitch. And until then, you have a great day. I'll see you soon, and bye for now.